The road to unemployment is very hard, and even more so when your old boss was the king of demons. Prepare your magic, your swords and your curriculum vitae because it is time to enter the world of Keiko Sareta Enkaku Haishi, 30 Dai, no Slow Na Second Life. Episode 1. Dariel, stepson of the general of demons Grand Verza, is fired from the demon army by his stepbrother Bashveza. Dariel is shocked to be fired from his job as an aide to the 4 generals, but his brother quickly explains that he is being fired from the general army since both his brother and the rest of the demons consider him one of the level demons, lowest of the army of the Dark Lord. Bashveza explains that this is the main reason he is being fired, citing Dariel's inability to use magic. Dariel tells him that one of the former generals entrusted him with a mission, but his brother quickly silences him, reminding him that his father, the Lord of Darkness, is retired, and he is the leader of the army, and his decision is final. Humiliated, Dariel leaves the castle and reviews what happened, acknowledging that the war between humans and demons has been going on since time immemorial, although the only thing that differentiates humans from demons is that the latter have the ability to use magic, and humans no. Dariel admits that as one of the few demons unable to use magic, it stands to reason that he would not serve as a warrior. On the way he meets his companion Rizet, who greets him as a demon, but Dariel quickly corrects him, telling him that he is no longer a soldier as he leaves. On the road to nowhere, Dariel begins to wonder what life holds for him, since after 32 years serving the Dark Army, now he has to discover what he wants to do with himself, and he does not give up the idea to look for another job at that age. Homeless, Dariel wanders aimlessly until he meets a young woman named Marika who is running from a monster. Dariel protects the young woman and fights against the monster, but realizes that he is at a disadvantage, since if he were a demon like a god, he would singe the creature just by moving a finger, but he must physically fight it. Our protagonist tries to charge at the creature, but is weakened by hunger and the giant ape launches him into the air with a single blow. Marika's knife, and although the use of a human weapon is a shame among demons, he doesn't have much of a choice. Despite being unfamiliar with human weapons, Dariel uses Marika's dagger and kills the monster by clumsily repeating the move he once saw a human hero perform. Grateful, Marika drags Dariel to her village, which he doesn't see kindly, but when the young woman offers him food, he lets himself be dragged away. Marika takes Dariel to the village of Lux, her home, and introduces him to her parents. Dariel realizes that he is in enemy territory, and that if the humans find out that he is a demon, all will be lost, so he must be careful what he says. Hiding his demonic identity, Dariel reveals only that he has recently been fired from the family business after a change in management, and since the company was hosting him, he was forced to wander into the woods. Touched, a grateful Marika tells our hero that he can stay at home, as the place has plenty of rooms. Marika's parents insist that she stay with them and they feed her. That night, Dariel is surprised to have a room to himself, since in the army he always shared a room with someone. After all the maelstrom, the young man stops to think, and accepts that from now on, this will be his life. Suddenly, Marika speaks to her from the other side of the door, thanking her for saving her, since the young woman has always gotten used to others depending on her and never the other way around. The next day, during breakfast, Dariel discovers that Marika's father is the owner of the village's Adventurers Guild and recommends that she become an adventurer in the guild in order to protect the village from monsters. Our hero tries to get a less dangerous job, like being a farmer, or something like that, but the girl's father insists that with his physique, being an adventurer is ideal for him. Dariel tries to protest, since receiving a guild seal would expose him as non-human, since in his years as a warrior, he has seen how many demons wanted to infiltrate the Adventurers Guild, but upon receiving the inscription seal, they were discovered, returning to the base with large wounds. Our protagonist tries to fake a back injury, but Malika and her father rush him to register, spilling a drop of blood on the registration seal. Terrified, our hero discovers to his surprise that the stamp does not cause him any reaction and he passes the exam without any problem. Dariel realizes that despite being raised by demons, he must actually be human, which explains his lack of demonic powers. Dariel remembers how as a child he was trained by the demon Grand Barza, who always treated him like a son. Once enrolled in the Adventurers Guild, it's our hero's turn to take lessons and Marika's father sets out to teach him the rudiments of demon hunting. Dariel knows the concept of aura, a human magic that enhances weapon abilities which is reminiscent of his training with Great Barza to use demonic magic. Our hero chooses a sword and tries to imbue it with power. Despite believing himself weak, Dariel discovers that he has an affinity with the aura, which makes him a first-class warrior since without knowing it he is capable of mastering each of the fighting styles and all weapons, such as the sword, the bow, shield, and mace, which makes Marika's father a bit angry, as he gets jealous to meet such a powerful warrior, since normally warriors only dominate one combat area. Marika's father suggests that Dariel might be better suited for a larger guild in a city, but Dariel notes that this idea makes Marika very sad, and he is also grateful for the hospitality they extended to him when no one else did. So he decides to stay in town. Having made the decision, our hero accepts that from this moment his second life is about to begin. Marika's father introduces the new adventurer to the rest of the village and everyone in the village is delighted, but the only adventurer in the village, Gashita, a pushy and proud young man, is not very impressed. Marika's father, who is also the mayor of the town, asks for his forgiveness and hopes that Dariel's presence will change the young man's personality for the better. Later, the mayor commissions our hero to collect herbs, since it is the job that Gashita refuses to do, but tells him not to trust it, since a monster is loose in the forest, one that even Gashita himself is not capable of defeating. Upon seeing the drawing of the monster, Dariel and Marika realize that it is the ape that our hero defeated when he met her. In this way and without knowing it, he has already fulfilled an adventurer's mission. Episode 2. After confirming that the creature that Dariel killed is the monster that everyone was looking for, the mayor takes the opportunity to teach Gashita a lesson in humility, accusing him of being lazy, which is why Dariel beat him to it. As expected, this only provokes the young adventurer, who monopolizes the rest of the missions to prove that he is better than our hero. Dariel is promoted for killing the monster and agrees to a quiet herb-gathering mission, but is stumped when Marika insists on accompanying him and showing him a bit of the town along the way. In the mission, Dariel is worried that Marika will accompany him to the forest, more considering what happened when they met, but she explains that the forest is accessible to the rest of the villagers and it is not that dangerous, except that you have to go too far. Inside, in that case, if only adventurers are required to go deep into the forest. The young woman explains that she also dreams of being an adventurer, since she likes to help people, which is why she went into the forest the day they met, since an old woman was in poor health, and Gashita refused to help her. Go in search of medicinal herbs. He insists that it is not necessary for her to accompany him, but Marika continues the journey, holding his hand and doing most of the mission for him. Dariel realizes that Marika is skilled enough to be an adventurer, since her tracking and exploration skills are far superior to hers, and when he tells her that she could have easily defeated the ape, she explains that she is afraid of fighting. However, she hunts monsters for food without any problem, being demonstrated when he fights against a powerful deer who apparently knows martial arts. Yes, I'm liking this series. Upon returning home, everyone believes that it was Dariel who hunted the deer and the giant ant, which further provokes the anger of Gashita, whose mission was to hunt the ant, so it is the second time that our hero steals the prey. The days go by, Dariel settles into the life of the village and Marika's romantic interest in him becomes more and more evident, and everyone seems to have accepted the new adventurer, or rather almost everyone, since Gashita, jealous, still keeps him grudge and refuses to befriend him. Marika's father reveals that Gashita recklessly decided to hunt down a Blaze Death Scythe, even though it's too high a rank for him and any small-town adventurer, so a team from a city guild has already accepted the official quest. However, until the guild arrives, Gashita is in danger of encountering the creature, which far surpasses him in skill and power. It also doesn't help that the other guild has established a perimeter, and getting into the place would only complicate things, since they could confuse you with an enemy, so Dariel offers to go find him. Marika offers to accompany him, but this time he refuses, since it is a dangerous mission. Dariel goes into the forest and has a feeling of discomfort, and realizes that unlike his past life, he should pay more attention to it, since it was a feeling that he always ignored when working with demons, but ignoring it now could cost him his life. When he reaches the perimeter zone, our hero finds everything destroyed, and in the distance he sees how a terrified Gashita flees from the dangerous snake. Our hero recognizes Blaze Death Scythe, and realizes that it is not the same kind of creature that he has faced before, and an oversight could cost him his life, so he puts all his concentration on fighting. However, the creature ignores it and continues to chase Gashita, who fires at it with his magic arrows to no avail. The monster charges at the young adventurer and only Dariel's intervention manages to save his life, who attacks the creature only causing a superficial wound, but painful enough for the creature to focus on him. Ola Deathscythe attacks our hero, who uses his shield ability to absorb the impact, destroying the sword in the process. In what is a fraction of a second, while the splinters of Dariel's sword are still in the air and the monster is heading towards him with its jaws open, our hero thinks what to do, so he decides to combine 2 aura skills, and throws a sword fragment into the Deathscythe's mouth, killing it. Later, Dariel tends to Gashita's wounds using the knowledge of medicinal herbs that he acquired on his last mission, and Gashita realizes that by avoiding those missions in favor of more dangerous ones, he ignored very important lessons that could cost him his life. In this way, the young adventurer accepts that he has been very headstrong and apologizes for the way he treated him. The next day, a changed Gashita arrives at Marika's house, greeting everyone with respect, accepting their faults and declaring that he is willing to change, wanting to work with Dariel, whom he calls boss despite being of higher rank than our protagonist. The thought of working as a team brings back memories for Dariel, and he wonders what will become of the lives of demon generals. Meanwhile, in the castle of the demon generals, the demon Zebiance returns after a humiliating defeat against the hero. She replies that she was surprised by a spearman, and Bashveza asks her why she let herself be surprised, if for that she must investigate her enemies before each battle, since gathering information is a basic concept in any war. Zebiance accuses one of his assistants, since the young man did not do the task well and failed to inform them, for which the young man is fired. It is revealed that this is already the 5th helper and none are working, so someone drops the idea of rehiring Dariel, since that was his area of expertise. Despite what they said at the time, they now realize that the young demon, even without powers, was in charge of studying the enemies, drawing up plans and even caring about the health of the demons, turning the army in well-oiled machinery. However, Bashvasa furiously rejects the general's requests to bring Dariel back. Back in town, and despite how he was treated, Dariel wishes the demon generals the best and hopes they are okay. Episode 4. After the recent events, Gashita begins to follow Dariel on his missions to learn from him, even in the search for medicinal herbs, which, while making our hero happy, becomes a bit annoying due to the adoration he receives. The young warrior has towards him. Another of our hero's problems, in quotes, is Marika's powerful hugs that begin to cause Dariel injuries. In spite of everything, our protagonist's life goes by smoothly, although something catches his attention, and it is the fact that the city does not seem to be too inhabited. Dariel notices that most of the houses in the town are empty, and Marika's father explains that the town was a trade route for a nearby mithril mine, but since the demon army captured the mine, trade has stopped. Marika, on the other hand, has realized that her hugs are dangerous, so she apologizes to our hero, however he tells her that there is nothing to worry about. Mithril is a valuable mineral that is used for the manufacture of weapons and armor, making it a highly prized item for both humans and demons. In this way, not being able to work in the mine, the humans were leaving the town, and the mayor fears that in a couple of generations, there will be no one living in the village, and it will be sunk into oblivion. The mention of the mithril mine brings back memories for our protagonist, and he wonders if he should visit it to see how things are. The next day, our hero infiltrates the mines and wonders how they have fared since his absence. It turns out that Dariel was the former mine supervisor of the demon army, so he visits the mine with the intention of negotiating a treaty that allows the people of Lux to have access to some of the precious metal. He only hopes that the current manager be willing to have a civil conversation. While infiltrating hidden inside a box, our hero realizes that for some reason, the task is too easy since the security of the place is non-existent, and he tells himself that if he were in charge at this moment, his half-brother Bashbarza would have roasted him for incompetence by now. Deep in the mine, our hero sees a similar situation, since the place seems to be abandoned. And the only ones present are the knockers, a subspecies of demons suitable for mining who respect Dariel enormously, since when he was in charge, he not only cared about his well-being, but he was so interested in his employees that he even knew the names of each one of them, although at first glance they all look the same. The knockers report that the mine is under new management, which is demanding 4 times the amount of mithril excavated from them, which has caused exhaustion and bad tempers in the workforce. When Dariel asks who gave the order, the creatures don't know each other's names, but our hero realizes that the person responsible is none other than Bashbarza. Dariel realizes that his half-brother is not the one who mistreated the knockers, but delegated the task to someone else who was in charge of exploiting them. The budget cuts were such that even the security forces were withdrawn, leaving only a small contingent of soldiers. As our hero wonders what to do, the Demon King's soldiers arrive in search of the excavated mithril, only to be angered when they discover how little there is. The manager of the knockers explains to the demon that the expected amount is unrealistic, which infuriates the demon and threatens them if they have not met the required quota the next day. This angers the knockers foreman, who shovels the demon and riots the rest of the creatures. The demon, furious, orders his men to dispose of the traitors, and Dariel realizes that even if they are angry, the knockers are not fighters, and don't stand a chance against trained soldiers. Dariel hides his face with some underwear he finds on the spot and protects the knockers as an anonymous adventurer. The demon accuses the adventurer of rioting the knockers and being the reason the creatures don't want to work, so he orders his men to destroy it. While fighting, our hero realizes that some soldiers, although they beat the knockers, none have yet dared to kill any, so he realizes that it is possible to try to convince them to withdraw, but their leader them forced to keep fighting. The soldiers perform an invocation, but Dariel knows it and knows how long it will take each one to finish charging the attack, so he attacks them one by one, interrupting the invocations and defeating the entire platoon without causing anyone to die. The commander surrenders, revealing that he is not even a soldier, but a demon that Bashvasa randomly hired at a party. Dariel's insistence, the commander resigns and the soldiers return home. The grateful knockers decide to switch their allegiance to the human race when they discover that Dariel is human and will protect them, guaranteeing that no matter what, they will always follow him. Later, just like that, Dariel informs the mayor that he has just reclaimed the mithril mine from demon control. Dariel's request, the Adventurers Guild headquarters takes the knockers under their wing in order to reopen the mine properly. In this way, the mine is returned to be under the control of humans, which caused many of the town's inhabitants to return, and even new people to settle, thus starting a new era of prosperity after many decades. As for the knockers, due to their knowledge of the place, they were asked to work as guides inside the mine, which the creatures readily accepted. In this way, the Luz village recovered a little life thanks to our favorite hero. During the celebration for the revival of the town, Marika hugs Dariel so tightly that he falls to the ground unconscious. Episode 4. In his office, Bashbarza chats with his pet parakeet, while continuing to put together his plans to conquer the world. Suddenly one of the demon generals walks into his office, and despite first denying her entry, the egocentric demon can't help himself and shows her his new creation, a weapon capable of condensing all magic using mithril and other elements, which allows him to obtain an explosive effect, thus creating what he calls a megabomb. However, did you notice how I said mithril and other elements? That's because the other items don't matter, but the mithril, that's going to be a problem. The general asks him if it is not necessary to use a lot of mithril for that, but he replies that this is not a problem, since he has a mine of the precious metal and the knockers working day and night so that they dig 4 times their usual quota of. In this way, the megabomb will soon be finished. The demon or let the villain finish giving his speech to inform him that they have lost the mithril mine, which is now under human control. Not only that, someone has filed a formal complaint about him. Furious, the demon general asks who dares to complain, and the demon replies that the complaint comes from nothing more and nothing less than the Lord of Darkness. In the room of the Lord of Darkness, the demon king asks Bashbarza if the rumors that he is running out of mithril are true. The king reminds him that he had already warned him about building the bomb, that it would take up too much mithril, and even warned him that quadrupling production was an impossible goal, but he turned a deaf ear to his warnings. The king tells him that although it was first a recommendation not to hurt his pride, he has lost respect for him, so he orders Bashbarza to stop trying to build the damned bomb. The king demands that the demon apologize for his incompetence, but Bashbarza insists on blaming the knockers. However, the king does not accept the explanation and again orders him to apologize, which the demon finally does, after much effort. To make matters worse, and like who stirs the wound, the demon king tells Bashbarza that he should ask for the help of his half-brother, who seems a little smarter, and after hesitating he remembers that his name is Dariel. The demon king lets Bashbarza leave, but speaking to himself he makes it very clear that he knows Dariel is no longer with them. As he leaves, Bashbarza has a fit of rage, realizing that the same demon king named his half-brother, so he blows up a part of the building. Back in the village, everyone celebrates the return to life of the village, especially our heroes. Dariel and Marika are sitting on a bench in the main square and the two talk, although the conversation becomes a bit awkward for our hero when Marika incorporates children into the conversation, and assures him that she would be a good mother and he would be a good father. Marika begins to declare her intentions of wanting to marry him, but our protagonist is saved by the bell when a heated argument begins a few meters away. As any excuse is good, Dariel goes to see what is happening, when he discovers that the person responsible for the entire conflict is nothing more and nothing less than Gashida, who is arguing with the leader of a guild from the big city, the Fitbitin adventurer. Fitbitin, seeing that the town only has 2 adventurers, doubts that they would be able to recover the mine, so he accuses you of having used tricks to achieve it, but now he assures them that the mine is in good hands, since he and her guild is in charge of protecting her and they are real warriors. This, in addition to making Gashida furious, does not go down too well with Dariel, who realizes that they are the adventurers who made the perimeter to stop Blaze. Death Scythe after the creature got away from them and they had to destroy it. Gashida declares that it was Dariel who took the creature, which earns him the admiration of the town and even some of the other guild members. As the crowd cheers, Dariel realizes that he may have made a mistake, accusing the other guild of letting Blaze escape. Death Scythe has earned the scorn of Fitbitin. That night, Marika learns of Fitbitin's accusations and picks up a knife to deal with the lying adventurer who offended Dariel, but our hero manages to calm her down. The young woman's father explains that Fitbitin's doubts are understandable, since in his world, people are divided into ranks, and a warrior of Dariel's rank could never defeat a creature like Blaze Death Scythe. Marika says that it doesn't matter to her since she has slandered her future husband, and suddenly she realizes that everyone is listening to her, so a little embarrassed, she leaves to continue serving tables. The next day, a government representative, Mr. Bestfred, appears in front of our hero asking for his help, since despite having sent different negotiators and even having gone to talk to the knockers himself, the little creatures refuse to accept them. Negotiate with them, and only talk to him. Dariel explains that this is normal, since the demons exploited the knockers, so it will be very difficult for them to trust someone else again. Bestfred asks Dariel to intercede for the government, but the young man does not want to get too involved in the matter, especially if it involves messing with the demons, but when he asks the envoy what will happen if the knockers refuse to cooperate, the man gives Dariel understand that in that case they will have to be forced, which is a point they don't want to reach, but humanity cannot afford to lose the mine again. Without too many options, Dariel decides to help Bestfred negotiate with his friends. The negotiation is super fast and consists of Dariel telling the knockers to listen to Mr. Bestfred, and the creatures without hesitation agree immediately, leaving the envoy speechless. At the mine, our hero meets Fitbitin and his guild, who inform him that they have been hired to protect the mine in case the demons try to take it back. Just then, a demonic voice falls from the sky informing the knockers that they have been forgiven for their transgression and are required to return to work for the demon lord. The guild members are not able to hear the message, but Dariel is, so he runs off, using the aura to wrap around his body instead of his weapons, thus gaining more physical ability. In the forest, our hero finds the source of the message, which turns out to be none other than his friend from his life as a demon, Rizit. The demon is surprised to find him and tells him how much he misses him, not only him, but the army in general. The two talk in front of the lake, and Rizit apologizes if any of his words offended him, but our hero tells him that there is no problem, and reveals that he is actually human, which explains why he could never use demonic energy. Rizit promises to keep the secret, and also tells him that the army is not at its best, and the loss of the mines has been a very hard blow for the demon lord. Also tells him that when he was in the army things were better, since when it came to relaying the king's orders, he made sure they were pleasant and was always willing to help, unlike his half-brother who has provoked a schism between the generals and the balance of power falters, resulting in a weak army. On top of that, the king of demons is worse than ever and complains about everything, but he is still the boss, and he is ordered to negotiate a peace treaty with the knockers to recover the mine. Rizit asks him if he doesn't want to return to the army, he is going to keep his secret. The generals will be happy to see him, especially one, the demon Doroi, who misses him a lot since he left. Our hero replies that he can't go back, since now it is due to a group of good people who welcomed him when he was at his best and he is in a place where he is happy. This angers Rizet, who tries to catch him to return him to the army, but our hero frees himself from his bonds using his own power. However, before they get into a fight, Dariel has an idea and offers to sell Mithril to the demon. That night, Dariel, Rizet, and Best Fred have a meeting where Dariel proposes to sell Mithril to the demons for 4 times its value, which the demon has agreed to. Best Fred does not understand why he will have to sell the metal to his enemies, but Dariel explains that this is the only way to avoid a war, because if the demons do not obtain Mithril, they will fight to recover the mine, and that is something that neither side wants. Fitbitin, who is present, refuses and even attacks Rizet, who is protected by our protagonist, and Best Fred reprimands him, reminding him that his mission is not to make decisions but to obey orders. The negotiation is a success, and the two friends say goodbye for the moment, but when Rizet asks our hero why he chose to negotiate for peace, he tells him that despite being human, all his life he lived as a demon, and it is thanks to the union of the two races is the man he is, so he has decided to protect humans and demons alike.